Social interaction is the process by which people act and react in relation to others. In all human groups, individuals have specific statuses. A status is a socially defined position. Each individual in society has many statuses with corresponding roles. For example, I am a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a grandmother, I'm a teacher, I'm a friend, and I'm going to respond to another person in a manner which is appropriate to the relationship. For example, in response to your parents, you are going to act as their son or daughter. And over the years, you will have enacted roles expected of an individual of a given age, sex, family background. There are two different types of statuses. We have an ascribed status and an achieved status. Ascribed statuses are those assigned to individuals by birth or tradition. They can be predicted and trained for from the moment of birth. They include age, sex, place of birth, kinship by birth relationship, and birth into a socially recognized group, religious faith, and ethnic group. Achieved statuses are filled through competition and through the efforts of the individual. Among the commonly recognized achieved statuses are education, occupation, and marital status. Although any person may fill a variety of statuses, many people find that one of their statuses is more important than the others. Such a status is termed master status. It is a status that has special importance for social identity, which can often shape a person's entire life. It can have very damaging effects. For example, a woman may be a brilliant scientist and a leader in her community, but she may find when she deals with men that her status as a woman is more important than the others. A role is a culturally defined pattern of behavior. So in other words, the way a society defines how an individual is to behave in a particular status is called a role. Now we can have role conflict and role strain. Role conflict occurs when in order to perform one role well, a person must violate another important role. For example, let's say that you're a committed student and a devoted friend, and your close friend calls the night before a critical exam and asks you for a time-consuming favor. What are you going to do? What would you do in the following situation? Let's say that you're backing out of a parking space at Colonial Mall when you accidentally scrape the fender of the car next to you. No one has seen you. Your insurance will not cover the damage, and you cannot afford to pay for the repairs. In view of your role as a responsible, law-abiding individual, and considering your role as a college student who has no extra cash, how would you behave? Would you leave a note on the damaged car giving your name and address, or would you drive away doing nothing? Whatever your decision, you are involved in role conflict. Role strain occurs when people experience conflicting demands in an existing role or they cannot meet the expectations of a new role. For example, a supervisor is expected to maintain a harmonious working relationship with his employees, but also has a responsibility of evaluating them once a year. So with role strain, you just can't seem to meet the challenges. Now there is a couple of theories that I want to briefly go over with you. One is the Thomas Theorem, which is W.I. Thomas's definition of the situation. And according to this theorem, situations that are defined as real are real in their consequences. So let me explain that to you for just a few minutes. If you've ever been around a paranoid individual, you know they act defensively. Even though there may not be anything to the situation, if they define it as real, it is real in its consequences. If we were to hear that truckers were fixing to go on strike, one of the things we're going to do is rush out and buy food, whether there's anything to it or not. If gas prices begin to go up, we're going to run to the filling stations and begin to fill our tanks up with gas. If you believed your significant other was cheating on you in your relationship, it's going to cause damage whether there's anything to it or not. So situations that are real in their consequences. Irving Goffman compared interaction to drama on stage. This is the dramaturgical approach. We present ourselves as we want other people to define us and as we assume they expect us to behave. So he looked at social interaction as being a performance. This approach is based on the recognition that much social interaction depends on how we wish to impress those who may be watching us. So according to Goffman, the social world is divided into two parts. We have what is known as a front stage and a backstage. The front stage is where the social actors manage the image of themselves they project to others. This aspect is called the presentation of self. We carefully control our appearance and behavior because we want the self presented to have specific effects on what others think of us. For example, let's say that a student gives the impression that he or she is a serious scholar, which may be purposely designing their presentation of self to get a better grade or to set the stage before asking for a letter of recommendation from the instructor. And let's say the student is caught doodling. Throughout life, people are taught to act in ways which are appropriate to the situation. We are going to behave differently in the presence of strangers than with close friends or family members. It's part of maturing. It's part of growing up. The backstage is our relaxed and true selves. And those whom we share a backstage with are those with whom we have the closest social bond. Let's say in our backstage there is a couple, we see couples fighting, but in the presence of others they're not going to do that. Using these strategies and others to set a stage for our own purpose is known as impression management.